Hi guys! Welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the Storytime Society. If you haven't already, please press the subscribe button, maybe the like button, and as always, I would love to hear your thoughts about any of the stories we talk about, or honestly, anything we talk about. So my new setup is that we just get straight into the stories and we chit chat, and do an advice segment at the end of the stories. So we are going to get straight into the stories, except I want to tell you that I'm drinking a hot latte. My brother, not me saying my brother, my boyfriend made sugar cookie syrup, and it's like a new recipe because the last one wasn't that good. And this one's really good, but it's my second coffee of the day. And I am listening to some of your guys' advice, and I'm going to start drinking decaf after this bag of beans runs out. And me and my boyfriend, I think, are kind of in agreement of wanting to drink decaf because he thinks, like, I forget what his problems were, something, anxiety maybe? I don't know. I don't really get anxiety because I'm on medicine, so thankfully. But anyways, let's read these stories. There is going to be a little bit of a trigger warning because there's I don't really know what to call it, but not this story, but the next two stories are related to grooming and relationships with a minor. I think that's a good way to explain it. But the first story, the title is Am I the Asshole for Uninviting My Fiance's Work Wife from Our Wedding? I can already tell how this one's gonna go. I, 29 female, am supposed to be marrying the love of my life, 31 male, in a few months. We've been planning this wedding for over a year, and it's been a beautiful but stressful experience. But there's one person casting a shadow over everything, and that's my fiance's work wife, Lily, 30 female. Let me backtrack a little. My fiance and Lily have been friends and coworkers for around 5 years. At first, I was honestly relieved he had a good friend at work, especially since his job can be demanding and a bit isolating. I tried to be cool. I tried to be the cool, understanding partner who wasn't bothered by how close they were, but over time, their bond became, well, it became something I just don't know how to handle. Lily is a huge part of his life. They text constantly, often late into the night, about everything from work issues to little jokes. She knows things about him that sometimes I don't, and it stings to realize how much he turns to her for advice and laughs instead of me. My fiance reassures me that they're just friends, that she is his work wife, and that it's no big deal. But it feels like she's gotten so close that I'm sometimes the one on the outside looking in. As we got deeper into wedding planning, Lily started chiming in with her opinions. She had suggestions about how our venue, it doesn't feel like him, our flowers, he's never liked bright colors, remember? And even my dress, mentioning offhandedly that she knew his style and could help me pick something that he would love. I tried to laugh it off, but it hurt more than I wanted to admit. Here I am planning my wedding, and I felt like I had to measure up to her view of who my fiance was. Last week was our engagement party, and it was supposed to be such a happy day, but I kept noticing Lily glued to his side. I tried to join their conversations, but every time she'd bring up a work story or inside joke that left me feeling like a third wheel at my own engagement. Then, in one of the worst moments, I walked up just as she was saying, if you changed your mind, you could always marry me instead. My heart sank. I didn't know if she was joking or half serious, but my fiance laughed, brushing it off like it was no big deal. I couldn't just let it go. I pulled my fiance aside later that night and told him how inappropriate her comment was. He looked at me, surprised, and said I was taking it too seriously and that Lily was just playing around. I felt like I was going crazy. Like maybe I was seeing something that wasn't there, but how would anyone be okay hearing that from someone so close to their fiance? The last straw came toward the end of the night. Lily had had a few drinks, and she came up to me asking if I was really okay with how close they were. She said something like, I can't imagine him with anyone else. It felt like a knife to my chest. I wanted to scream, but instead, I just walked away. Later, I told my fiance I didn't want her at our wedding, that it was too painful to have someone there who clearly saw herself as part of our relationship. He got defensive, saying I was overreacting and letting jealousy ruin a friendship he cherishes. He even implied that uninviting her would damage his reputation at work. And now he's barely talking to me because he says I'm making him choose between his best friend and his fiance. I don't know what to think anymore. I feel hurt, small, and like my feelings don't matter. My friends support me, but his friends think I'm overreacting and letting insecurity ruin our relationship? Am I the one blowing this up? Or am I right to want some respect and boundaries? Am I the asshole for asking him to uninvite her from our wedding after everything that's happened? Okay. I feel like my opinion on this is going to be a bit of a hot take because the way that I think about it is like, I just don't feel like you should have, once you get into a relationship, I don't think that you should have a relationship that close with someone of the opposite sex because I don't care how much you trust your partner. I don't care how much, you're just friends. But it's like, is that really respectful? Is that really something? Why do you need to be texting another woman all the time and like confiding in her about everything and being so close to her? And also, I think the work wife thing has been taken way too out of hand. Like, honestly, I don't think that anyone should ever be calling someone their work wife or work husband. Like, I just think that's so disrespectful because why? Why do you need to do that? That's just like so, it's so not classy to me. It's so gross. It's like, okay, what do you mean, like your work wife? And also, it doesn't matter how secure someone is in themselves. A relationship like this can make anyone insecure because obviously their significant other is spending 8 hours to 9 hours a day, 5 days a week with this person. Obviously, at some point, you're going to think maybe something is happening. They're texting late into the night. They're consistently like talking and laughing and having inside jokes, and he's telling her all this stuff and probably even confiding in her about your guys' relationship, which is very inappropriate to me. I just feel like I don't think that it's appropriate to be in a relationship and have a closer friendship with the opposite sex than you are even close with your significant other. Like, what can you get from her that you can't just get out from your significant other? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Just have some guy friends. Just stick with the boys. Like, I don't really understand why that's a thing. Also, making you choose, like, the fact that that's even a thing, there should be no making you choose between them. There should be, you obviously choose your fiance no matter what. Like, what? No. If Are you really saying that you might not want to marry her because she's making you choose between them, and you're telling me that you are having a hard time choosing between them? That's the craziest thing that I've ever heard. That's truly so like disheartening to me and just gross. I don't know. But obviously, it's like, this is nature. As much as you say like, oh, we're just friends, this is also nature. This is like how we were created to find attraction in people, and at some point that can get misconstrued. Even if the guy is like very much friendship, only sees them as a friend, the girl might not. The girl might feel a completely different way about it. So, I don't know. I think it's really inappropriate. And I find it pretty disgusting when men talk like this, okay, especially because men oftentimes have a lot more of motivation for like um sexual relationship. You know what I mean? It's like men are inherently a lot more sexual than women, and in my opinion, I think a lot of men look at women no matter what as like more than a friend. Like, there could always be, they could hook up with, I don't know. Like, men don't have to have feelings for someone to just hook up with them. They just think it's no big deal a lot of the times. I don't really know how I'm explaining this. I don't know how to explain it correct, but I just feel like it's different because men are constantly hooking up with people. I'm making this sound so general, but obviously I know it's like not every single man, but in my opinion, 90% of men are very sexual and hook up with a lot of people, a lot of women, and girls I don't feel like are as sexually driven, and girls actually can have guy friends because we don't look at guys as sexual partners. Does that make sense? I don't know, because there are very, 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 very few people that I would in my life find attractive enough to do anything with. But for guys, I feel like it's the opposite. Like, guys find a lot more women good enough to have sex with. You know what I mean? I don't know. Let me know if you understand what I'm saying. Sometimes I'm not great at like interpreting my thoughts and putting it into words, but okay, let's read some of the comments. Not the asshole, but to be honest, it sounds like the two of them are having an emotional affair. Her comments are completely inappropriate, and your fiance's willingness to side with her and choose her over you is hugely concerning. I can absolutely predict on the day of the wedding, she is going to try to insert herself into everything. It sounds like there's a level of jealousy here, and based on what she did at your engagement party, this is going to escalate on the day you get married. And then you can likely look forward to a future of her inserting herself into your relationship. The home you buy, your children, and your husband is going to keep allowing this to happen. You need to ask yourself if you can live with the throuple. Until she finally manages to insert herself into his bed, because we can all see that's what she's aiming for. Yeah, and also women catch feelings a lot more than guys do, in more than like a hookup manner. Like, I feel like once you get along with a guy, because for me at least, in my opinion, all like I just never I found it very hard to be like a guy. Like I don't know how to say. I just I don't know. It was really hard for me to like any guy. So when I did like someone, it was very much like, oh my God, okay, I like this person. This is like very rare for me. This is like one in a million. So it has to work out because just I just find a lot of guys so icky. And when I would find someone that wasn't icky, it was always nice because I was like, oh, so I can like someone like nice. Now I'm reminded that I actually can have like an attraction to someone. I don't know, because a lot of guys are so icky, and I feel like girls are just so much not icky. They're just so much better. Okay, some more comments. He sees the situation as having to choose between the two women. He already puts his coworker on the same plane as his fiance, which means he is not committed to the fundamental premise of marriage, which is to forsake all others. He has zero concept of emotional boundaries and needs some schooling. I was thinking the same thing. He is having an emotional affair, even if he doesn't realize it. A work wife is someone he has emotional intimacy with at work. OP, until Lily is out of his life permanently, you'd be a fool to marry him. There will be nothing but pain for you as long as she is in his life in any capacity, because she 100% considers him hers first. Her behavior and comments are highly inappropriate, and the fact that he is giving her opinion any credence whatsoever is highly problematic. Girl, he already chose and didn't pick you. Yeah. Not the asshole, the term work wife is icky, and as it is almost always results in crossing of some lines. This is a work wife on steroids situation. It sounds like Lily is more than a work wife. She would get rid of you and replace you as his fiance in a heartbeat. Lily's involvement in your fiance's life has gone far beyond casual friendship. Her opinions about your wedding and the comment about marrying her instead shows she doesn't respect the boundary between their friendship and your romantic relationship. Whilst he isn't physically cheating, there is definitely an emotional boundary being crossed here. Your fiance is very weird indeed for saying that you're making him choose. You are his wife to be, not a friend. He needs to acknowledge that if this friendship is damaging the trust and comfort in your relationship, then some boundaries are necessary. You are fully justified in feeling uncomfortable about the situation. This is your relationship, and you have every right to feel secure in it. Speak with your fiance and tell him that, as things are, the situation can't continue. If he still doesn't understand, then definitely reconsider what this means for your relationship going forward, because him choosing himself and his feelings over yours isn't a recipe for a healthy and happy relationship. It's better that this gets ironed out now than after you're married. Breaking up is a lot easier than divorce, but hopefully it doesn't get to that point. Also, it's like, would you really want to marry someone that sees you guys as the same, on the same level? It's just crazy because the moment that like my partner told me that they were uncomfortable with a situation like this is the moment that I put a boundary on it. Not saying that they need to completely stop being friends, but obviously if she's saying this, then yeah, that's a case where you absolutely should stop being friends with them. But like if that were to happen with me and a guy were like definitely overstepping boundaries and my partner was uncomfortable with it, absolutely I would be like bye, because my future forever partner that I'm literally going to marry and be with for the rest of my life is way more important to me than some work wife friend relationship. Like, not to say that friendships aren't important to me, but a friendship like this where they're obviously crossing a boundary and making your wife feel insecure and also not respecting your relationship at all, because someone that says that and insinuates that they pretty much are more than just friends and that she definitely likes him as more than a friend is not worth losing your relationship over. Okay, we're going to move on to the next story. And oh my gosh, this one is like the minor situation. So I'm like a little bit nervous to read this because it gives me an icky feeling. But let me just take a sip of my coffee. I hate how it gets so dark in here after the sun goes down. And it goes down so quickly. All right, the title is My Mom Caught My Dad with a 16-year-old and Covered It Up. Well, 16 years ago, we had two of my friends and their mother living with us while they went through a divorce. I was 15 and my friends were 14 and 16. I was away at another friend's house one night. When I came back the following day, my mom told me that she had kicked them out because the 16-year-old tried to make a move on my dad. She absolutely slandered that poor girl's name. When I got into my 20s, it still sat in the back of my mind. I just knew I didn't get the truth, so I reached out to the 16-year-old who was now in her 20s. We met up and I got the true story. I could see the pain in her eyes. She said she'd been in therapy for years because of my father, that he did it in such a loving way, it really fucked her up. She told me they'd been drinking on the property, then went skinny dipping, all while my mother was in bed pregnant with my sister. They made their way into the house and upstairs, where eventually my mother walked in on them. I let her know I had her back if she ever decided to do anything about it. I'm now in my 30s and recently became a mother, and it's all I've been able to think about. They still don't know that I know the truth. It's reawakened the rage in me, especially all of the teenage rage they made me shove down for so long. Because if anyone did that to my daughter, or if I caught my husband in that situation, hell no. It was easy to shove down before because I learned from the best, my parents. But becoming a mother, especially to a daughter, I've never wanted someone to pay for something they've done so badly. I feel like if I brought it up to my mom, she would just get angry and talk shit. She'd probably say the past is the past and I need to let it go, that people can change. But I know he hasn't changed due to events over the recent years with his anger issues and control issues. He's a very big narcissist who believes he can do no wrong whatsoever. And my mother is so far up his ass, it makes me wonder if the 16-year-old was his only victim. If she was, and if he's never done it again, would that be okay? Is this forgivable? Because I don't feel like it is. I want to tell the whole family, but I feel like they just downplay it and make me seem crazy. Cut me off and turn my siblings against me. They've done it before when I called them out on other things, so here I am, just needing to get it out, I guess. What would you do? First of all, I would absolutely be yelling at my mom and being like, what is wrong with you? Because that's disgusting that you would take this man's side over a little 16-year-old, especially having daughters yourself. It's crazy to me that women do this with their like husbands sometimes. Ew, sorry. I just see like a bug crawling on my wall and it's just a small one, but it just really caught my attention for a second. Especially when you have daughters of your own. Like, that's disgusting to me. And to know that is to know that if your 16-year-old were with an old man like that, you would probably blame her for it. And it's actually crazy that people would blame anyone would blame a little 16-year-old. Do you know how naive you are at 16 years old? And not only that, but it's not their responsibility to make the right decision. You're literally 16, and this man is convincing you and manipulating you. Obviously, it's not the 16-year-old's fault. So I don't understand why people do that and why women just are like, that little slut, you know? They're like, that little slut. I can't believe she did that. Oh, but your husband was skinny dipping with a little kid. A little kid. How would you feel if that were your friend's husband skinny dipping with your little kid? Your little 14-year-old? Would you be mad, or would you just be like, "Wow, I can't believe you did that. You're like, you need to be taught a lesson." Because that's scary and you don't deserve to have children if that's how you see it. I would yell at my mom. If I found this out, I'd yell at my mom. And if she was still with my dad, I'd be like, this is disgusting. I can't believe you never did anything about this, because this literally could have been so terrible. And if they would have ended up being intimate with each other, that's literally grape. So that's disgusting. And they definitely would have if the mom didn't catch them. So to think that is so disgusting. And why would you want to be with a man like that? It's clear that she's not secure within herself, and she's very desperate to be accepted by this man. That's always what I chalk it up to be. It's just crazy to me that people like are desperate to be stay with their husband, you know? It grosses me out. Okay, let's read the comments. The fact that he was so brazen? The fact that he was so brazen to do this with his wife in the house, he's definitely done it before or since. I'm sorry, these were the parents that you were given. I'd never feel safe leaving my kid alone with either of them. I thought of OP's daughter too. Like, all due respect to the families, but who needs siblings who side with a rapist and his apologist? The siblings could also be victims and have never spoken out. Exactly. As hard as it is to walk away from family, siblings that side with a rapist, if they were to side with him, would not be people you need in your daughter's life. OP said exactly. I'm scared he has done it before or since. Oh, he's for sure. For sure. These things are very rarely one-time offenses. The fact that your mother forgave him and he faced no consequences, I'd feel confident saying he's absolutely done this again. Yeah, because the mother not only forgave him and he faced no consequences, but she made the little girl seem like it was her fault and it was her issue. And I'm sure the man, the husband, took advantage of that and is like, "Oh, nice. So she sees it as the woman's problem and not my problem. So let me just go do this again, because clearly my wife isn't going to do anything about it, say anything about it, or even get mad at me for it." Um, the term you want here is sexual predator. They get away with it because folks think it is a one off action or blame the victim. Keep your children far, far from your father, someone said. I don't know what my cat's doing right now, but she's like climbing up the wall and I literally hear her. She's crazy. She's going absolutely insane running around. Yep, women cover for the husband all the time. A lot of times it's usually out of fear because the husband is already controlling and abusive towards the wife. Other times people really turn a blind eye and don't want to face the truth because it's so dark. Bringing that to darkness into the light exposes everyone to the truth about him, and the wife may not want to deal with the backlash from that. Ugh, I just hate people that let that go under the radar and is just like, okay, it's fine, it's fine. I understand, like, if you're a victim as well, but at the same time, it's like, you're an adult and this little girl literally is, that's a traumatic situation for that little girl to be in. And I'm sure when she got older, she realized, like, how disgusting that was. Like, things that have happened to me, not like anything crazy, but like, I never skinny dipped with any old man, but, and I never, like, I don't know, but I wonder if I've told this story. Have I told this story? I don't know, but when I was in like high school, and I think I was like a sophomore or a junior in high school, my friend group, so my friend had a stepdad that was always around, and we were always like at her house because she had like cool parents, and we could get alcohol from them, and they would just like let us do whatever, throw parties and stuff. And so we were at their house a lot. And the stepdad, he drank a lot, He drank like all the time. He was pretty, yeah, he was probably considered, I would consider him an alcoholic. But one night when we were at her house on the weekend, her stepdad, he was like the cool stepdad, but he was also really creepy. Like when we would go on spring break, we went to spring break all together in Fort Myers, Florida, and we all went to dinner together. We were all dressed up, and we were, mind you, 16, 17. We were juniors in high school, so around 16, 17. He would be like, "You guys, is it okay if I say you guys look sexy? If I say you guys look hot and stuff?" Like, it was so crazy. Back then, we were like, this is definitely weird, but whatever. It's like, it's him, whatever. But now that I think back to it, I'm like, that's insane. That is insane and weird and disgusting. Like, that's so creepy. If that were my dad and he was saying that to people like 16 and 17-year-olds, I would literally be disgusted by him. Obviously, it was her stepdad, and like, she was also our age, so we were all very naive and not knowing really like what how that was like as wrong as it was. But so one weekend, I don't know if this was before or after spring break, but he would do things like this all the time. But one weekend he was like, it was like a Saturday night, and he asked us all if we wanted Taco Bell, and we were all like, yeah, absolutely. And he's like, okay, well, someone has to come with me to get it. And we were like, oh, dang it. Like, we none of us felt like going with. And we didn't like think of it as weird or anything. We weren't like, oh, scared of him and didn't want to go. We were just like, we wanted to hang out and we didn't feel like going. But he wasn't gonna get us it. So I was like, "Ugh, fine, I'll go." And I went with him. And then we went and got Taco Bell. And then he was like, let's stop at the liquor store and let's get some. No, he just said, let's stop at the liquor store. And then he goes to the liquor store. He parks in the alleyway. Okay. This is where I'm like, this gets really weird. He parks in the alleyway. He's like, what's your favorite alcohol? And I was like, probably Fireball. So he goes in, gets some Fireball. And he's like, he comes back and he's like, we're not leaving until you take a shot with me. He's like, you have to take a shot with me. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I thought it was so cool because I'm like young and I'm like, nice, free alcohol. And I don't have to like go, hey, mister, on the side of the road and ask for alcohol. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, thanks. Nice. And then, yeah, we took a shot. Nothing happened, but we took a shot together. I just thought it was weird how he's like, we're not going until you take a shot with me. And then we went back to the house and it was fine. But I feel like that could have been such a dangerous situation. But like, I trusted him so much because I had known him for so long and I was around him so often with their family and stuff. So I just like kind of looked at him as like a second dad. But then when I look back at it and I'm like, ew, he was like sexualizing us all the time and saying that we looked hot and like sexy as like a joke. But like, that's not a joke. That's weird. That's weird behavior. So yeah, that's my story. Okay. Now, this one's kind of also another weird one. All right. My 19-year-old sister is getting married to her high school teacher. My younger sister is getting married to her 36-year-old high school teacher in a few days, and everyone seems okay with it. She graduated a year ago, and they told us that they were dating almost immediately after the graduation. I was shocked and angry, but everyone around me was happy and supportive of them. The teacher divorced his wife 2 years ago and started paying attention to my sister. He spoke to her after class regularly and paid special attention to her studies. I thought this was weird and talked to my sister about this, but she told me he was helping her because she was the best student of her class, which she was. A few months ago, only a few months into dating, they announced that they were engaged. I tried talking to my parents about their age difference and stuff, but they didn't want to hear it. I talked to my sister, and she told me she's happy and that she loves him. We live in a small town with a tight knit community, and everyone else is supporting their marriage. I'm feeling so useless right now, and I'm angry at myself. I was unable to protect my sister. I feel like I failed my duties as an older sibling. I hate everyone around me. How do they not see what's going on here? You, grody, poo poos. That's disgusting. All right, there's a few updates, actually. There is, there's just two updates, but let's see. Okay. My 19-year-old sister is getting married to her 36-year-old high school teacher. Update 1. The marriage happened. I contemplated not going to the ceremony, but I didn't want to hurt my little sister, so I went reluctantly. My blood was boiling throughout the whole thing. Everyone who came to the ceremony congratulated them. I couldn't even look the teacher in the face because I was so angry at him. I hated the whole thing. I'm leaving this town tomorrow. I had some interviews lined up and got selected in one. It's in a city and I'm moving tomorrow. I can't stand these people. My parents think that getting married to a good guy with a stable job is the best that could have happened to my sister, and my relatives agreed. He groomed her. Why doesn't anyone else see that? I wanted to scream at everyone. When I told my sister I was leaving, she cried. I reassured her and told her that I wasn't angry at her. I made it clear to her that she could contact me at any time under any circumstances and that I'd be there for her. I bought her a phone and told her that I'd talk to her regularly. I tried to not antagonize anyone because I want them to reach out to me if anything happens. It was very hard to do. I came very close to fighting with several people. My sister was a star student. I always thought that she would go to a big college and become someone significant, but now she's going to be a housewife. That thought is destroying me. I wasn't harsh on her because I'm hoping that she wakes up soon and I want to be there for her when that happens. I want to support her and see her full potential, and I'm wishing it happens soon. Edit, I told her not to have children until she's sure. She has a contraceptive implant and I told her not to get it removed for at least a couple of years. I told her to tell me if anyone ever pressured her to have it removed, and I really hope that she follows my advice. Edit 2, I'm just checking the comments, and the amount of people defending the teacher is insane. People like you are the problem. She was groomed since she was 16 years old. Why can't you people see that? I wouldn't have any problem with her choices if she wasn't coerced into them. Him being an older man isn't my issue here. Him being her teacher is. Also, I don't think that being a housewife is bad. What I don't like is that the choice of something more is being taken away from my sister. As for the phone thing, my parents did not allow my sister to own a phone. She had to use the landline if she wanted to talk to people, and that's why I bought her a phone. That's honestly crazy to me that people in the comments are defending this man. Are you kidding me? People still don't understand that literally you can be groomed as what? I don't understand. Do people are not they're not educated on the fact that grooming is a thing? Like what? Oh, oh, that stresses me out so bad. Like, please be smart and know that it's not normal to marry your teacher, especially right after you get out of high school. Clearly, they were already had a relationship prior to that, which is illegal, and then they just announced it publicly after the graduation, which honestly is so crazy to me that anyone in that town would accept that, because I just feel like most towns would not accept that. But maybe there's some gossip going on but like behind the scenes that we don't know. Okay, my 19-year-old sister is getting married to her 36-year-old high school teacher. Update 2, update a year later. This is posted on April 30th, 2023. So I'm assuming the other one was 2022, but I didn't look. Wait, let's see. Yeah, June 5th, 2022 was the update one. All right. I wanted to share an update on my sister's situation since it's been a year and the situation has changed significantly in a positive way. Since the marriage a year ago, I've made it a point to talk to my sister regularly on the phone that I gave her. A few weeks in, her husband started pushing her to be in a traditional wife role, which created a wedge between her and her friends. But I made sure to keep in touch and to visit her once every month. Her husband did not like that, but he tolerated it to keep up appearances. To deal with my frustrations, I joined a gym and started working out. Luckily, my boss at my job turned out to be a great lady who listened to me and gave me a lot of support and advice. She told me I could call her when I needed help and became my mentor and an older sister I could lean on, while also paying me well. Some months into the marriage, her husband managed to domesticate her completely. She stopped going out almost entirely and had very little independence, and he tried to start separating my sister from me. However, because I kept a good and consistent relationship with her, he wasn't able to do it. A couple of months ago, he started hinting to my sister about wanting kids, but I kept repeating to my sister that she should not have children until a few years into marriage. Last month, he told her directly that he wanted children, and my sister told him that she wanted to wait. He started pressuring her to get her contraceptive implant removed. So last week, I went back home to talk to him. I always try to be polite to him. Sorry, oh my god, my throat just itched so bad. I always try to be polite to him whenever I visit their home so that he doesn't have any ammo to try to separate us. During the conversation, I brought up that he was pressuring my sister to get her contraceptive implant removed. It escalated into an argument with him saying that he had a right to have children with his wife. When I didn't back down, he got frustrated and took a swing at me, which didn't connect properly. I didn't hesitate in punching him back in the face. He fell backwards and started howling in pain. I wanted to do that since this whole ordeal started and it was satisfying. I think him hitting me was my sister's wake up call. He called the cops and told them that I assaulted him. Fortunately, I made sure to record everything whenever I visit their home. I use my Apple Watch for this, and it's a great tool for stealthy audio recording. I called my boss and told her about what just happened, and she promised to send a lawyer just in case. When the cops arrived, my sister took my side, which surprised her husband. With me being a woman and with the recording, the cops also took my side. The lawyer arrived after that, and I told her husband that I was taking my sister with me. He tried to protest, but the lawyer warned him that I would press charges if he stopped my sister from leaving. He reluctantly let her go, and she has been staying with me for the last week. My parents were furious when they found out that my sister left her husband. They did not seem to care that he hit me, probably because I stopped talking to them. I'm still talking to my sister about what she wants to do, and will probably start divorce proceedings in a few days. Her husband and my parents have been trying to call and get her to come back, but I've made sure that she doesn't talk to them without me present. Throughout the whole thing, my boss has been super helpful and has been giving my sister advice about what she could do next. I know that I'm super lucky that my sister managed to wake up so soon and that I've had support from people like my boss. Throughout the whole of last year, I was worried about how my sister was going to end up, but I am elated now. Wait, oh my God. First of all, these parents are crazy. Why do parents like this exist? They just think that, like, they are so stuck in the 1950s. Why is that a thing? Like, why do people think that domestic violence is just fine? Probably because, honestly, probably because the wife is probably a victim as well, and she's probably brainwashed by her husband. I hate to say that, but like, she probably is, and that's so sad because I feel like a lot of times once you're so brainwashed and you think that that's okay for your daughter to go through, that clearly is saying something. Because any normal person would not be okay with some man hitting their daughter. And that's actually so insane to me. Also, thank God for this girl for keeping a relationship with her, because unfortunately in a lot of cases that doesn't happen. Like, a lot of cases usually they end up separating themselves from the people that they don't agree with what they're doing. Like, if say if a daughter starts dating like a 40-year-old and this girl's like 19 or 20 or something and the parents don't accept it, they'll usually like kind of have an estranged relationship after that, because it's clear that the parents aren't accepting it and they make it known. And then obviously the daughter doesn't want to be around the parents because this is her relationship and she wants to be in it at that time. But it's so important to keep a steady and healthy relationship with these young people in your lives that are in these kinds of situations, because once they do end up waking up, then they have someone like you that can advocate for them. Because imagine if they didn't have this sister and then all she had was her parents to tell her to go back and that it's fine. Like, imagine if he hit her and they were just like, oh, it's fine. You know, that happens sometimes. You should just forgive him, give him another chance. I'm sure it won't happen again. And imagine if that's the only people that she had to talk to about it. She would be stuck in this relationship, stuck in this abusive, narcissistic relationship with this man. And that's so sad. But after, honestly, this, like, these kinds of stories on Reddit have taught me a lot about that, about how you shouldn't like push these young people away that are in these types of situations, because they need these people that can advocate for them when they wake up. And that is very much proven to me in this story and a lot of other stories that I've read on here. All right, some of the screenshotted comments that are on here. That one decision to give her sister a phone and keep contact with her without judgment is likely what saved her sister's life. It was the best outcome possible given the circumstances. I'm glad the sister is getting out, and F those parents for real. That and not being vocal about her displeasure on the relationship. When you're in love, anyone who doesn't agree with your worldview is automatically against you. OOP was smart to not ever be openly obvious about her distaste for the ex. If she had been, sis wouldn't have been opened up wouldn't have opened up and stayed upfront about her life. It's exactly how abusers get what they want, not just by abusing, but by isolating. So relieved OP didn't fall into that. Yep. She immediately knew what was going to happen: isolation, pressure to have children, etc., and acted coolly and empathetically based on that knowledge. That's an impressive degree of emotional intelligence, to be honest. Yeah, I'm so honestly proud of her, because it'd be really hard for me to even be in this type of situation. Even knowing that that's the right thing, it'd be really hard to not be like, this isn't good. This isn't a good relationship. You shouldn't be in this relationship. It'd be really hard for me to not, because I have a hard time sometimes, like, not stating my opinion to people, especially when I'm like, know that it's the right thing. But some people just aren't ready to hear it yet, and you have to wait for them to be ready to hear it. Like, she obviously expressed her dismay and her, like, her disappointment with it in the beginning, and that was enough for her sister to know, like, okay, so she doesn't agree with it, I understand. But if she had pushed it any further, I'm sure the sister would have started distancing herself from even her, and then she would have been completely isolated. Weird your parents think she's not old enough to have a phone, but old enough to get married. Very weird. People, keep us updated, and keep in mind victims of abuse and grooming often return to the situation. I hope for the best for the both of you. Is she planning on seeing a therapist? I do not understand your parents at all. There is no way I would be standing by and watching something like that go down with my child, much less supporting it. I'm so glad your sister has you. She will need continued support, as I'm sure he will keep trying to get her away. I think you should press charges, though. That man needs a criminal record to get him away from the vulnerable youth. Seriously, because if he's still a teacher, he's probably going to swipe up the next student who likes him. And that is scary behavior. Someone else in the comments said, when I was about to graduate high school, my junior high teacher started to come around. He asked my parents if he could date me, and they said absolutely not. He was 36 or 37. I was shocked, and my mother made it clear he was no longer welcome. I'm flabbergasted that there are parents like this. Ew, it's so gross. I know someone actually, which when you're like when you're in high school and stuff, you don't think that it's that weird. You're like, oh my God, that's crazy. But now that you're like, when I'm an adult and my frontal lobe is fully developed, I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. Someone in my town that I was like kind of close to, not really, but like we hung out and we were friends. And they literally slept with the high school English teacher when they were like a sophomore or a junior in high school. And he was like the hot teacher in school, I guess. And he wasn't at my school. He was at the neighboring school, like our biggest rival school, which I was friends with a lot of people from that school. And yeah, they literally slept together, which is crazy and illegal and disgusting. And he could literally lose his job. And I can't believe that he didn't, no one ever found out. But I can't believe that he could possibly still be a teacher. That's crazy to me. Like, I went to school to be a teacher. Like, I can't even imagine if I were a high school teacher. And it doesn't even matter if you're like 22 or 23, because obviously, or you can be a high school teacher at like 22 or 23. And if you think about it, like the difference of 23, okay, I don't know how I'm going to say this, because it's not good, obviously. 23 and like 17, don't agree with that. That's not good. But 6 years, when you look at it from like a 6 years, like if they were like 30 and 36, that's not weird at all. But 23, it's very weird. Even 23 and 18 is weird to me. Yeah, that's weird. But it's not even just that either. It's also just the power dynamic and having like, it's your teacher and you're supposed to be like a role model for them and someone that they can look up to and like maybe confide in. And also you're like a mandatory reporter. So if you saw that they were like suffering abuse or anything like that, or assault or something, you would be mandated to report that. And that's your responsibility. Okay. Well, you know what's so fun is that we're done with the stories. We're going to move on to the advice segment, but I'm so happy because there's a lot of people that are actually contributing to this advice segment, and I really love it. And if you want to contribute or ask for advice, the link is below. It's a Google form, and it does not collect any information about you, so it's completely anonymous unless you want to say what your name is. um, Am I like breathing into the I feel like I'm breathing into the mic or something. All right, we're going to say I have to like pick a random one because I don't know which ones to do. Okay, so I've had these two best friends for around 3 years. I think it's getting really toxic, and I don't know if I should distance myself or not. So, me and friend A sometimes talk about friend B, not in like a mocking sort of way, and me and friend B talk about friend A. So, I assume that they are talking about me too. But recently, friend B has been really annoying, and me and friend A have been thinking about distancing ourselves, and we really don't want to hurt friend B. But friend B will repeatedly make fun of me and friend A's smartness and weight, how much food we're eating. What is really making me question the friendship is both of my friends know that I've struggled with my weight and an eating disorder before, but yet friend B is still commenting about it despite me asking her multiple times to please stop. Please let me know what I should do. Okay. So for the first part, I'm going to say that honestly, I feel like in a lot of situations friends vent to each other about each other. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, depending on what you're talking about. Obviously, yeah, that is a little bit toxic, but it's really not that uncommon if I'm being honest. Like, I've had situations like that as well. But there's usually always that friend that, like, you never talk shit about. And you know that they don't talk shit about you, which hopefully you have, but I'm not really sure. But on the back end of that, you, even if your other friend doesn't stop being friends with her, with friend B, I think you should definitely distance yourself from friend B because that's obviously so fucked up. Anyone that, I don't know how old you guys are, but anyone that talks about something like your weight, even if you didn't have an eating disorder, is still very messed up and not okay. And so rude because the way that she is talking about it could make you, even if you didn't have an eating disorder, it could push you into having an eating disorder, which is clearly not right. And maybe she's super insecure about herself, which is usually what happens is they are just projecting their insecurities on you. But even if that's the case, it doesn't matter. This person does not deserve your friendship, and I don't think that that's okay whatsoever. So, I would say that you should stop being friends with her, and especially since you've asked her multiple times to please stop, that's just another reason that she clearly doesn't respect your boundaries and doesn't respect you whatsoever because she knows that it bothers you and she still has yet to stop. And she's almost using that as like ammo. Yeah, I would definitely I would probably make that decision by yourself though. Just because, I don't know, if your other friend wants to stay friends with her, then that's fine. I wouldn't like force her to stop being friends with her, but I would definitely make the decision for yourself to not be friends with her. And you don't have to say it in like a rude way or like in an a malicious way. You can just say that you're not comfortable with the way that she speaks to you and that you just would like to not you would like to distance yourself and have a little space from her. And if it so happens that maybe in a few months or next year or something you guys want to try to be friends again, then you can open yourself up to that possibility at that time. But I definitely think for now it would be appropriate to end the friendship 100%. And I think deep down that you know that. But obviously it can be hard, especially with people that you've been friends with for so long. So I can understand. Let's see. Sorry, oh my god, I'm about to sneeze. Bless me. We're gonna do one more because I don't really have much to chat with you guys about. So we're just gonna do one more advice thing. My mind began racing the same way that it did 11 months ago, and it has just rocked my mental state. The other girl is much skinnier than I am, and in my mind, because our relationship is so good. Wait, what? I'm confused. This just is how it started, so I'm not really sure. And in my mind, because our relationship is so good, minus the sex issues and his personal. Wait, sorry. I think this is like a continuation of a different. I think this is a continuation of a different question. So I'm going to actually save this because this one is actually very long and I'm going to save this for like its own segment for a different episode because we will answer this one. If these aren't already anonymous, can mine be? Yes. Everyone's is going to be anonymous unless you want to like state what your name is. How to deal with guys who act like emotional hoes, but it's not physical. Do I just have a flirty personality slide, or it's not like he actually does anything with anybody else though? I would not let that slide, actually, because maybe it's not physical now, but very easily it could be. And also, saying you just have a flirty personality is just a way of saying that I'm gonna disrespect you and you're just gonna have to be okay with it. Because obviously, by saying that, you're just admitting that you're flirting with a bunch of people and you know that it's disrespectful. I think I would personally stay away from these types of guys, but obviously, I'm not sure how old you are. And when you're young, you can definitely get wrapped up in these types of guys, especially if they have a flirty personality, because that can be like kind of, I don't know. A lot of the times it's like what you can't have makes you want it more, or like kind of like limerence vibes. You know what limerence is? It's like the obsession almost with someone, but it's not like love. Like I'm so bad at fucking explaining things sometimes. I'm gonna look it up so that I can read you. Limerence is a state of mind resulting from romantic feelings for another person. It typically involves intrusive and melancholic thoughts or tragic concerns for the object of one's affection, along with a desire for the reciprocation of one's feelings and to form a relationship with the object of love. It's a state of involuntary obsession with another person, also known as the limerent object. It's a psychological and physiological state that can feel like an intense form of love, but it's different from love or lust. So that's like a lot. I feel like that's a lot of times what happens with girls and guys that don't necessarily show interest in only them. But I would stay away from these guys. I know that can be hard, and usually you have to go through these things to learn and just like figure it out for yourselves. And then after that, you learn. But a lot of the times, people don't learn, and then they end up getting into a situation where they're in a toxic relationship and they end up maybe having a kid with this person in the future. And that's like you're fully connected to this person for 18 years, which is really hard. And yeah, so I would try my best not to stay with people like this. Even if it's not physical, they're clearly showing a sign of disrespect towards you, and that is just not it. I think that if anything, you should be single and focus on yourself and being confident in yourself rather than dealing with people like this. As hard as it is, because I could totally understand a lot of the times it's like you want to connect with someone, you want a romantic relationship with someone, but in most cases, when you're questioning things like this, there's a reason that you're questioning it. And usually your intuition is right. So if your intuition is telling you that this isn't right and it's bothering you and they're not going to respect you, then I would definitely say adios to those types of people. Bye. But that's just my advice. You can take it or leave it, but we will never know. I guess you can let us know if you have any updates, because I would love to know how you end up dealing with that, because I can totally understand, girl. I've been through that before, trust. And sometimes that's the like what you find attractive about the person is the fact that they have a flirty personality and they, you know what I mean? I don't know if you feel that way, but sometimes when I was young, that's how I would feel. Okay. But anyways, I don't really have much to chat with you guys about. My friend's coming over tomorrow and we're working from home. Guys, should I film an episode with my friend? Because we've been wanting to film an episode together and I really want her to film an episode with me, but I don't know. Whenever we hang out, like I don't really feel like filming because I'm filming so often that when we hang out, I kind of want to just like hang out and not like work, you know? Because then it's nice to just get to like hang out and talk, but at the same time, I really want her to be in one of my episodes because she's really funny and we literally it would be a very very chatty episode because we chat so much. Like we talk each other's heads off. So yeah, let me know. What do you guys think? Do you think that I should start inviting, like, who am I gonna invite? I don't know. Like, this friend, and then that's it. I don't know. Would you guys like to meet more of the people that are in my life, or no? Do you guys like it when it's just solo? Let me know in the comments below. But, anyways, I love you guys, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you guys in what's today? I'll see you guys on Monday. And just to let you know, we release episodes Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. And yeah, please leave a comment. Love you so much. Bye bye.